Days of Our Lives spoilers reveal that Sarah Horton Kyriakis will call Sophia Choi out on her baby girl lie. This could be the first step towards Sarah uncovering the Tesoro truth. So let's talk about what's ahead on Days. After Sarah found out Sophia supposedly gave birth to a little girl, she immediately sensed something wasn't right. Once Sarah wrapped up her conversation with Brady Black and Rachel Black, she decided to do some digging. Sarah grabbed Sophia's medical file and got the confirmation she was after. Once Sarah looked at that chart, she realized she was right about Sophia being pregnant with a male, not a female. Now Days spoilers say it's just a matter of what Sarah's going to do with this info. Sarah obviously knows this whole adoption situation sounds fishy since Tate Black didn't even get to meet the baby. Of course, Duel fans know Sarah is also growing closer to Brady, who is the grandfather of this new bundle of joy. That's why Sarah will be particularly invested in getting to the bottom of this and quieting the alarm bells in the back of her mind. During the week of July 28th through August 1st, Days spoilers say Sarah will track Sophia down for some answers. Although Sarah will congratulate Sophia on the delivery and express how glad she is that it went smoothly, she'll have questions about the baby gender discrepancy. You can bet panic will light up in Sophia's eyes, so she may have a hard time covering how nervous she is. Nevertheless, Sophia may just have to trust that Melinda Trask's legal documents will work in her favor. Perhaps Sophia will claim her previous medical file is mistaken. Sophia might act like it was a hospital blunder since there's been so much upheaval due to the budget cuts and all the chaos there. Sarah may accept that explanation for now, but that doesn't mean she's going to let this go. Melinda is known for shady adoption deals, so Sarah may not exactly trust her or her young, vulnerable client. There could be other clues coming for Sarah, especially if she catches a glimpse of Sophia bonding with Tesoro at some point. It's easy to imagine Sophia checking on Tesoro during an encounter that Sarah witnesses. Days of Our Lives spoilers say Sarah could be the one to expose Sophia's deception if she solves this mystery, so stay tuned for updates on all the shocking news to come. Days of Our Lives spoilers reveal that Claire Brady and Theo Carver's breakup raises questions about the future of these characters. Is one of them returning to Salem now that they've split romantically? Duel fans know Theo and Claire were happy together in South Africa for quite some time. However, the July 24th episode brought the news that Claire and Theo had called it quits. Abe Carver comforted Theo a bit over the phone, but he didn't get the details of the breakup. Days hasn't revealed why Claire and Theo's relationship didn't work out, so we'll see if more info comes out on that later. Regardless, Belle Black shared a supportive phone call with Claire too, and mentioned that Sean Brady was going to visit her. Claire is hurting right now, along with Theo, so we can't help but wonder about the point of all this. If Theo and Claire were going to stay off-screen, there'd be no reason to split them up. Claire and Theo might as well be a blissful couple if neither one of them is part of the action in Salem. The fact that Days writers are breaking Theo and Claire up could mean one of them has a dual return stint in the works. If Claire is coming home, the show might want her to be single for new love stories. On the other hand, it could be Theo who will make a comeback for some fresh romantic arcs instead. Of course, we should point out that recasting could be an option here. It wouldn't be all that surprising if Days decided to cast someone new as Claire or Theo, depending on what they have in store. Whatever the case, Theo and Claire's off-screen breakup has been raising plenty of questions on social media. Now viewers are curious about what this means for these characters and whether one of them might make a Salem return. Days of Our Lives spoilers say Claire or Theo could have a homecoming ahead, so stay tuned for updates on any other romantic developments. Not all heroes wear capes. That much was clear when Days of Our Lives introduced us to Salem's bookstore owner, Foster, in Monday's episode. He came out into the square to chase Gwen off as she threatened Julie, not even giving the newly wealthy woman a chance to get the last word in. We've never met Foster before, but the book club has been in the background of the Horton Square for ages. And now, we finally got to see inside. Foster's played by veteran British actor Miles Anderson, and while American audiences may not be as familiar with the stage and screen actor as their UK counterparts, he's made appearances in US shows like Constantine and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. and his film roles have included everything from La La Land to Joel Coen's The Tragedy of Macbeth. At first, it did seem like Days of Our Lives was about to give Julie a love interest. Here were two folks who lost the loves of their lives, connecting over books and friendship. And he rode in to save her from Gwen's venom. But it wasn't long before Foster's real purpose became clear. He was selling the bookstore to spend more time with his family in California. And it seems like a given that Julie is going to be the one to buy it. Julie, of course, is a skilled businesswoman, running an antique store, a coffee house, and a nightclub over the years. She even owned The Spectator at one time. So no, Julie may not be getting a new relationship, but she is likely getting a new love in Salem's bookstore. It's a place that, as she told Foster, has provided her comfort and solace over the years, and if she buys it, it'll continue to do so, while giving her something to do and get her out and about to mingle with the folks of Salem. So, while we don't think Foster will be sticking around for long, we may see him a few more times as Julie comes to realize she wants to take over the bookstore and run it herself after he moves. Also, we're guessing it'll provide a convenient backdrop for Stephanie's book launch. And we can just about guarantee that'll be packed full of drama all on its own. Picking up from Friday, Marlena's dreaming of being the queen of the night, over 30 years ago. She wakes with a start and looks thoughtful, then sees a note from Belle saying she went back to court and Brady took Rachel to give her a quiet rest. Marlena smiles, then grabs her bag and leaves. Gabby stops by the Dimera mansion to meet with Tony, and he's already pushing her to come up with a plan to get the company back. She doesn't have one, but he does, 'cause infighting in the Kyriakis family. Gabby's noticed that Xander and Philip are already turning on each other, though she's not sure why. It's like someone flipped a switch. No one knows why, Gabby says. But Tony points out that while they don't, somebody does. She likes this plan. Tony's just glad she's on board, since she seemed reluctant to turn on Xander. Business is business, she says and walks out. Kayla's having chowder with Steve in his office, but she's a bit distracted, thinking of John as she visits Black Patch. Steve knows what she means, but then he pivots with some good news. Julie has her necklace back. He tells her how, and Kayla admits that while she doesn't condone stealing, Doug did the right thing. She says she's got to get back to work. There's too much to do. Though it's too darn hot over there. EJ's saving money by barely using the AC. And Rita's gotten rid of fresh fruit and vegetables. Steve's worried Kayla's running herself into the ground, but she turns his worry to Marlena. She tells him about Marlena's fainting in court. Kayla leaves, and shortly later, Gabby shows up. She wants to hire him to investigate Xander and Philip. Absolutely not, Steve says without hesitation. He has no doubt they're up to shady stuff, but he stays away from personal cases. I call BS on that, Gabby says. Steve points out that his brother-in-law and nephews are Kyriakises. Stephanie's dating Alex and has a past with Philip. He then asks Gabby what's in this for her. They won't let her take Gabby chic, so she's got no choice but to play hardball. She then points out that Salem was bad enough with Titan and Dimera, but put together, it's even worse. Steve finally relents and agrees to take the case. A short time later, Marlena gets into work, where Kayla's shocked to see her. Marlena insists she's fine, no more symptoms, and she's there to consult with Dr. Fuller on a patient. Can't you just give yourself a few days? Kayla tries. Nope. Plus, she's the patient. Kayla figures it's about grief counseling, but it's not. Marlena figures whatever's wrong with her isn't physical. She's a bit worried that whatever's wrong with her has to do with her soul. Kayla worries she's possessed again, but Marlena's quick to assure her that's not it. There was a time when Stefano would invade my dreams, and he would refer to me as his queen of the night. That made her vulnerable to evil, she reminds Kayla, who tells her that was a long time ago. Maybe, but Marlena hasn't forgotten how that feels, and she just had a dream about being queen of the night. That combined with Susan's premonition has her worried. Kayla reminds her Stefano is dead. Hopefully, Marlena muses, then walks it back, insisting she knows he's gone. She describes reading to Rachel from Arabian Nights, and the dream was similar. Well, there you go, Kayla says. That plus all the stress surely is the reason for the dream. Maybe. Marlena heads to her appointment and promises to let Kayla know how it goes afterwards. As Gwen's moving the last of her bags out of the inn, Julie strides up in the square and happily shows off the necklace. Gwen accuses her of stealing it, but Julie makes clear that she couldn't steal something that was hers to begin with. Feel free to call the police and report it missing. Nah, Gwen snaps. It's not worth it. Enjoy your gaudy necklace. For now. Julie warns her that it better not be a threat. If she comes for the Hortons, she'll finally get what she deserves. Gwen fires back, and then an older gentleman wanders over and yells at her to shut the hell up. She's been making a scene in front of his bookstore long enough. He chases Gwen off, and Julie thanks Foster for his chivalry. They head into the bookstore, and Foster says he's missed Julie. So has she. She's missed the store and her chats with him. But she's here now. He notes how beautiful that necklace is that Gwen was yelling about. Julie thanks him, then nervously asks what the for sale sign is about. His family's in California, and he's been widowed for a few years. He wants to spend time with his loved ones. He'll miss the store, but he'll miss seeing his grandchildren more. Julie understands, but she's going to miss the shop. It's been her solace for ages. He hopes it goes to someone who wants to keep it open. Julie promises to ask around. Foster then asks what she's there looking for, and Julie wants a book on grief to give to her friend. Julie describes Marlena a bit, and Foster suggests 2 memoirs, which Julie happily says are perfect. He grabs them, and they wax on about how important books are and how they help build connections. Julie wishes Foster happiness and good fortune, telling him he'll be sorely missed. Gwen finally gets to the mansion with her stuff, where Tony notes that she's moved in. And no, he assures her, it's not a problem. He's happy she's moving in. Really? He's the first person who's been nice to him since getting back in Salem. Of course. And maybe they can catch up, Tony suggests, about her time in Alemania. He asks if she's found it strange that Dimitri hasn't tried divorcing her and taking his fortune back. Nope, not at all, Gwen shrugs. Tony moves on and asks if she heard anything about Stefan while she was over there. No, she didn't. Tony starts getting agitated as he notes how strange it is that Vivian claims he's living it up in Alemania. But Gwen didn't see hide nor hair of him. Plus, she adds, Tony always treated Stefan and Dimitri. Why does he care? He doesn't particularly care that they're not here, but he doesn't like being left in the dark. He prefers to keep track of his family. It's safer that way. Marlena tells Kayla after the appointment that she's got more questions than answers, and she can't shake this unsettling feeling. But she doesn't think she wants the answers. She gets back home and picks up the Arabian Nights book just before Julie shows up for a visit. Marlena happily marvels that Julie got her necklace back, and Julie tells her Doug III got it back. The boy redeemed himself. But she's there with gifts. She has 2 memoirs about grief and embracing life again. That is so kind of you, Marlena tells her friend. Julie gets emotional, saying Marlena's helped and still is helping her so much, and she's there for Marlena. Gabby hands some papers back to Steve, and he says she's got herself a detective. I've got myself the best detective, she leaves, asking him to let her know when he finds something. Kayla calls and tells Steve that she's decided to heed his advice and take the rest of the day off. That's great, he says, but he just got a new case. She'll beat him home. Gwen muses to Tony that she thought he'd removed himself from the family business. Is he trying to get back in? Well, that is none of your business, is it, my dear? Tony smiles and walks out. Days of Our Lives spoilers and updates tease Susan Banks has returned to Salem to provide her support during the criminal trial. It's likely that we will receive a psychic revelation from the afterlife that may help clarify some details about the shooting. Last time E.J. DiMera was in Salem, his messy but lovable mom was there as he prepared to wake up from his coma. Susan felt that Belle Black had fallen for her son E.J., and then he woke up miraculously. Now, Susan is back in Salem, ready to support both Johnny DiMera and E.J. during the summer trial. Naturally, Susan is overjoyed that E.J. has fully recovered. He's even stopped using his cane now that the terrible ordeal is over. But Susan's not happy at all that her grandson Johnny is on trial for trying to kill his father. She knows someone did something very cruel to her baby boy. So, will she tap into her psychic powers to uncover the real shooter? The whole trial would be a conflict of interest were this real life. But since it's just a soap, we suppose they can get away with it. D.A. Bell was brought back as prosecutor despite her nephew being on trial, and her affair with the defense attorney, who is also the victim. Naturally, E.J. believes that defending Johnny is a gamble, yet he sees it as a smart strategy since the attorney is the crime's victim. It demonstrates his trust in the defendant. This week, E.J. visited Dr. Marlena Evans, hoping that a hypnosis session would trigger his memories from the night of the shooting, but he had no success in identifying the perpetrator. He remembered the shooting, but when it came to the face of his shooter, he was still blocking it out. Marlena is going to try again, or at least she intends to. On the first day in court, Marlena experienced a crisis and collapsed. Soon, we will discover that something is wrong. Her health is deteriorating. Remember that dizzy spell she had at home. This means Doc might not be able to help EJ recover those memories. However, with Susan's arrival, there might be another way to demonstrate Johnny's innocence. It may not be in a legal setting, but it can still be shown to others. It's not based on science, it's purely psychic. None of this would be accepted in court in real life, but as aforementioned, it's a soap. Even Marlena's hypnosis session wouldn't qualify, so why not give it a shot? The last time Susan was present, she noticed Gabby Hernandez and felt something sinister. Gabby later informed Rafe Hernandez that she had been hanging around outside the mansion. We know she was armed. It certainly seemed like Gabby intended to kill EJ that night for what he did to Rafe, but then she heard loud voices. Gabby mentioned to Rafe that she overheard Johnny and EJ in a heated argument. This was prior to the shooting, but she didn't stay to find out more. Therefore, Gabby is unaware of who shot EJ. In fact, Police Commissioner Jada Hunter lacks solid evidence against Johnny, aside from that argument and some circumstantial details. He expressed to a few people that he wished his father EJ was dead, which is quite understandable. Additionally, it's likely that half of Salem wishes the same for EJ. Essentially, the evidence against Johnny is similar to what they have on Chanel Dupree regarding that deep-fake video that EJ created and sent to Bell. Next week, Days of Our Lives spoilers reveal that Susan will take action for Johnny. Clearly, she will utilize her supernatural ability to detect his innocence, and she might even tap into EJ's adult mind to assist him in recalling who shot him that night. If Susan senses EJ's mental signals, she could experience a genuine psychic surprise. This is because, back in February, our source informed us that Rachel Black was the one who did the shooting, and there's been significant foreshadowing that backs up this theory. You know, Rachel's been having nightmares, upset stomachs, anxiety, which are common in a child her age who's blocking out traumatic events. It even her creeped out at the DeMera mansion. She told Brady Black it bothered her looking at the door where she was standing that night watching Johnny and EJ argue. So, will Susan have a run-in with little terror Rachel and sense the wickedness inside her and sense her guilt for shooting EJ? That's quite possible. However, Rachel might have some budding psychic abilities herself, even though she's not related by blood to Susan Banks. If you remember, Rachel dreamed of her grandpa John Black passing away right before he died. And it is Salem where the supernatural, as resurrections, are both common. Rachel might regain those memories, but choose not to inform her parents, and instead confide in her friend, Dr. Sarah Horton. Therefore, we cannot be completely certain that Rachel is the shooter. We only have a trustworthy source who claims she is. Whether it was on purpose, or if the gun accidentally discharged while she was arguing with EJ about her grandmother, Rachel Blake, is still unclear. Our source also mentioned that Kristen DeMera will take the blame for Rachel and will soon be facing time in Statesville. We will also see if Susan picks up a psychic feeling that could surprise EJ. Days of Our Lives spoilers reveal that Sarah Kyriakis will confront Sophia Choi about her lies about her child. Sarah has learned that Sophia told Tate Black and Brady Black that she had given birth to a girl and had allowed the adoptive parents to take her home. However, Sarah knows the baby was a body. As a patient of Sarah's at the hospital in Salem, Sarah had noticed that the text of the baby had been notated in Sophia chart, even though she didn't want to know the sex of the baby. Sarah had reacted to Brady's announcement that the baby had been a girl before going back to Sophia's records to double-check her memory. Sarah knows that Sophia did not give birth to a girl after confirming what she thought. Now Sarah wonders why Sophia took off to Chicago and lied to Tate about their child. Sarah is forbidden to share this information with Tate and Brady. However, Sarah can certainly confront Sophia about this and why she lied to Tate. Tate had stood by Sophia throughout this pregnancy, and although they planned to give the baby up for adoption, he wanted to meet his child. Tate wanted to hold the baby and let it know that he loved it and wanted it to have a better life. Sophia had deprived Tate of this opportunity when she lied about the child's birth. Sophia lied about the gender because of this. Sarah's confrontation will blow Sophia's adoption story up. Will Sophia confess that the baby found at the firehouse was hers? Unfortunately, it seemed that an ever bigger reveals is coming. Rumors have been swirling for months that Tate isn't the true father of this baby. Will Tate be forced to face the fact that the child he had grown so close to is not even his biological child at all? Has Sophia been lying to Tate all of this time, knowing who the father really was? Fans believe that Aaron Green, who came home expecting that he and Sophie could be a couple, is the father. Obviously, Aaron knows nothing about this, or he would have suspected it when he first came home. Will Tate and Aaron both be shocked to learn the truth? Will Tesoro be revealed as Sophia and Aaron's child? What will happen to the baby now? Days of Our Lives spoilers for Tuesday, July 29th officially kick off Johnny's trial with EJ and Belle, each making their opening statements about their son, nephew. It doesn't matter that Susan knows that Johnny didn't shoot her Elvis. The courts, for some reason, aren't dropping their charges, which means Johnny has to show up. He has to sit there and listen, and eventually, maybe defend himself. But he's not alone. He has help. His father, the man he's accused of shooting, is also his defense attorney. Oh, and his Aunt Belle is the prosecutor. But that's okay too, because EJ and Belle are sleeping together, which makes this a very one big happy family kind of trial. We're not even counting that Leo is on the jury. Leo once blackmailed Johnny's older brother Will, and Will's husband Sonny. But neither EJ nor Belle had a problem with him being impartial. This is going to go so very, very well. Speaking of criminal families, Kate knows that Philip and Vivian forged the will in which Victor left his company to his son. And she is totally cool with it, because Xander is a bad man. It's been a while since she and her son got together to scheme against others, so they do. Stephanie wrote a book so sexy that everyone who reads it falls madly in love. Alex is begging to publish it on an accelerated track. This is exactly what being a writer is like. The July 28th episode of Days of Our Lives featured a necklace-sporting Julie gloating to Gwen in the middle of Horton Town Square, and she learned the bookstore located in HTS was up for sale. In addition, Marlena couldn't shake the dream that she had. Gabby hired Blackpatch to help her get the goods on Xander and Philip. Tony asked Gwen about Stefan, and Julie and Marlena bonded over their shared grief. Tony and Gabby meet up again, this time to solidify their alliance. Gabby is completely on board with getting Demara back as long as she is its CEO. Tony and Gabby decided the best way to go about this is to do to the Kyriakis bros what was done to them, which was to take advantage of the infighting. They discussed how Xander and Philip were best buds at the beginning of the takeover, but how their relationship was in shambles now. Something had to have happened. Gabby turned to Steve to find out the source of Philip and Xander's latest bout of hatred. And really, this should be the easiest case ever for Steve. Just ask Stephanie. She knows all about it. While Steve was initially reluctant to take on this case because of those personal conflicts, he got over it and told Gabby he would do it, poor Marlena. She's dealing with grieving John. On top of that, she's worried about Johnny's trial and now the weirdness with her health. She's dreaming about being Stefano's Queen of the Night, which isn't good. She's feeling off and unsettled, and she decided to get a second opinion. At the hospital, she also consulted Kayla, who tried to write this off as a dream. Marlena wants to make sure this isn't her problem with her soul, and we all know why she has valid concerns for feeling this way. While Marlena told Kayla this wasn't about devil possession, what she's feeling isn't too far off. Bringing up those Stefano-induced dreams and his referring to her as Queen of the Night, she might be afraid her soul is at stake again. The good thing here is that Marlena isn't totally keeping these issues to herself. She's putting it out there, trying to get help from professionals. Julie discovered that her favorite bookstore is up for sale. Foster, the guy who owns it, is selling it and moving out to California so he can be closer to his kids. Who's going to buy the bookstore? And is this set needed because of Stephanie's upcoming book release? Will Julie take this on as a project to keep herself busy? It's been a long time coming for Days of Our Lives, Stacey Hayduck. In October 2024, she told fans to buckle up because she and her daughter, Sophia Tatum, co-directed and starred in an upcoming horror short, Brand New Cadillac. It's a vampire tale that seems to pay tribute to the 1991 film Thelma and Louise, as well as being a road trip horror flick. Now, she has some big plans for the horror short and excitedly shared the news of what's coming next on social media. Hayduck wrote on Instagram, "Making movies! Thank you to everyone who helped out on this project. Truly grateful." Brand New Cadillac, the movie, video by @PaulTelfer. Along with that was a video set to Benny Goodman's always awesome tune, Sing, Sing, Sing. The short clip showed the filming of the movie around their sweet, early 70s Cadillac Eldorado convertible. It would seem by her caption that Paul Telfer, who plays Xander on the soap, videotaped that behind-the-scenes clip. It was seen very briefly, but the camera used was likely a Blackmagic Ursa Mini, possibly a Mini Pro 4.6K model. If they're using that, you know they're serious, because that piece of equipment is a cinema-grade digital film camera that's often used in independent filmmaking. Hayduck explained to Soaps.com, Brand New Cadillac is a mother and daughter road trip movie. Mother just happens to need blood to feed on, and daughter just happens to be a psycho killer. So, it's 1 week in the desert, and daughter has to feed mommy. The actress further explained that the film will also have oodles of heart and love, despite being a monster movie. She also explained that a fundraiser was underway to help bring the project to fruition. A woman named Melissa, whose Instagram page titled Queen of Damaras lists her as a queen, podcast co-host, and content creator, also shared a post stating, "Join us for a special Zoom event featuring the short film screening of Brand New Cadillac, a chat with Stacey, and a silent auction. Don't miss this amazing event. Days of Our Lives spoilers photos for the July 29th, 2025 episode tease a mysterious package, and a mysterious package arrives for Stephanie, while the Damaras strategize. When Jada pops into Hourglass Bookstore, she'll be given a package by Foster. Meanwhile, Chad and EJ will have some strategizing to do in the square. Will this be about Titan Damara or Johnny's trial? Days of Our Lives. Tony Damara has not quite seemed like himself since returning to Salem a few weeks back. Maybe that is because he is not himself at all. It seemed strange that Anna returned to Salem for John's funeral without Tony when they are always a package deal. Even when Anna thought that Tony was dead for years, she often carried an urn around containing what she thought were his ashes. Now, Tony is in town without Anna, making things very fishy indeed. In fact, this version of Tony seems much more concerned with Dimera Enterprises than the Tony we have known over the past few years has ever been. The Tony who had been traveling the world with Anna was one we like to call Retirement Tony. He had very little interest in the family business, no matter who was CEO or running things. The Tony we have seen recently is only concerned with Dimera Enterprises and is scheming to get the company back from the Kyriakis clan. He is even making friends with trusty Dimera secretary Rita. That would not seem all that odd on the surface, but after his chat with Gabby on July 28th, Tony seemed downright sinister once she'd left the room. The look on Tony's face quickly reminded us of Andre. In 2018, Andre Dimera was happily married to Kate, or as happily married as two people could be when they were always plotting and planning some sort of corporate takeover. At one point, Andre even had possession of Anna's famous urn and had a conversation with his not-so-dead look-alike cousin. Andre told Tony all about his plans to bilk Chad out of the Dimira fortune. After Abigail overheard this one-sided conversation, she confronted Andre. During a physical altercation, Abby picked up the urn and conked Andre over the head, allegedly killing him. Since this is Days of Our Lives, we all know that many characters never die, no matter how dead they seemed. Heck, Stefan Dimira didn't even have a heart, and Dr. Rolf managed to bring him back. Who is to say he didn't do the same with Andre and has been keeping him hidden all these years? With Marlena feeling Stefano's presence again, it would make sense if one of the most evil Dimiras ever was back in Salem. Here are your Days of Our Lives spoilers for Tuesday, July 29th, 2025. After a false start last week that saw Marlena pass out just as court proceedings were about to begin, Johnny's trial really gets underway this week with Belle and EJ at odds, just as they expected to be. Even after Marlena's health incident, Belle and EJ grew closer as they worried about Marlena and about handling the case. Both want to see Johnny acquitted, but it is Belle's job to secure a conviction. Before arriving at this courthouse, EJ and Chad catch up in Horton Town Square. Chad is sending a novice reporter to cover the trial since EJ took Leo from him, so Leo could serve on the jury. Will they discuss how those turn of events happened? As for Johnny, he is as nervous as he was last week. He knows he is innocent, but EJ needs to prove it without turning suspicions toward Chanel. Can he do it? EJ has already tried to set Chanel up to take the fall by sending Belle that memory card. If EJ plays any more tricks, he could lose his son for good. When BFFs Jada and Stephanie catch up, Stephanie gets a very special delivery. A pre-publication copy of One Stormy Night is at her door, which intrigues Jada as Stephanie opens the package. Jada wasn't even sure that Stephanie would go through with publishing her racy novel. Stephanie is embarrassed as Jada thumbs through it and gets a picture inside of Stephanie's overactive imagination. Kate thinks this book will be a bestseller. But is she right? It all sounds very 50 Shades of Grayish, right down to Stephanie's pen name. When Kate and Philip meet, will Kate mention that the book that could put Titan back on the map is almost out? Kate first found the manuscript at the hospital and wanted to publish it immediately. But how will Kate and Philip feel about Philip's former flame being the author? Welcome to the Days of Our Lives Daily YAPP for a quick, and by that, I mean you're already halfway done, recap of the most amazing or what the heck did we just watch moments on today's episode. Let's get to it. Marlena's Queen of the Night Dream sent her into such a panic that she ran to the hospital for a soul check. Oh my! But wait, a soul check? Is that a thing anywhere other than Salem, the premier destination for daytime television devil possession? Apparently, it's kinda sorta a thing in Marlena's world, although not exactly an official thing. Sarah told Marlena all of her odd symptoms might be psychosomatic, but Marlena wanted a second opinion, telling Kayla that she was worried about her soul more than her body and mind. Marlena explained that she felt she was vulnerable to whatever power Stefano had over her all those years ago, which allowed the devil into her life. But how did she expect to find this out with a medical checkup at the hospital? She never explained that part to Kayla, leaving Dr. Johnson just as confused as we are. But one would think, after all these years and all the people who were possessed just a few short years ago, Salem University Hospital would have a specialist on staff for just this sort of thing. Since it does not, Marlena just might have to rely on her own intuition and Susan's sixth sense to figure things out. Hopefully she does so before Salem Satanic Possession 3.0. Want more details? We got you! Soap Central has the best full duel recaps on the internet. You can even go back over 30 years and read each and every one of them. If you can't wait until the next episode, we have daily spoilers too. And whatever you do this weekend, do not, seriously, do not forget to read the 2 scoops for some laughs in the as close as we can come to being a watching party without actually being a show. And the best part is if you agree or disagree, we want to know. As always, share your comments below. Greg Ricart and Rebecca Budig host the CBS podcast, Soapie Together. In a Turn the Tables twist, the host had the chance to interview each other instead of a guest, asking and answering each other's questions, and revealing some behind-the-scenes stories and secrets between laughs, including what it would be like to work together. On Days of Our Lives, Greg Rickhart is a fan favorite as Leo Stark, although viewers of The Young and the Restless know him as Michael Baldwin's half-brother, Kevin Fisher. Given his friendly smile, infectious laugh, and experience of all things daytime serial, Rickhart is a natural choice as co-host of CBS's new podcast, Soapie. He and Rebecca Budig host the weekly show, interviewing past and present co-stars and showrunners together. On ET's Spilling the ET, the friends and co-workers asked each other questions between several bouts of laughter and jokes. Rickhart queried Budig with questions like, what was the most awkward thing to happen while shooting a love scene? In turn, Budig asked Rickhart what his craziest storyline was, but when it came time to discuss their methods and to picture themselves in scenes with actors they had never worked with before, they agreed on some ideas. When it comes to memorizing lines, Rickhart and Budig agreed that the pace of taping has certainly picked up over the years. Because of that, they use some tricks when memorizing lines, such as noting if a sentence ends and the next one begins with the same letter. When discussing which stars they would love to do a scene with, Budig suggested reuniting with Josh Duhamel or doing a comedy with John Stamos. Rickhart thought it would be amazing to work with Demi Moore, and then suggested how fun it would be to work with Budig on a soap. Budig agreed it would be fun, but also thought it would be annoying. She joked that she would be constantly asking to run lines. "I don't think I would want to run lines with you," Rickhart quipped as Budig laughed.